Neptown Tuner here. I did not intend for this to go this direction. This thing has been eating my lunch. This vehicle has been running me absolutely insane. All from just a broken belt. And I believe me, I'm not making this up. This is all real. This all happened. I made a lot of videos about little piddly things here and there I fixed. I didn't even show the video of me putting the tensioner and the idler pulley on. After kicking a belt off on this thing, I went ahead and replaced this tensioner and idler pulley. I could have replaced the belt, but I'm rolling with the old belt still. I could have replaced a lot of things. I could have replaced the alternator. It's prone to locking up, but it's still a junkyard alternator. But I did want to replace this power steering pump because for some reason I just had some intuition about it. I don't know. So I just had a feeling. So this is the power steering pump that I took off of it. See that big hose right here? You see how they go in differently? Well, check out this other hose. See how that hose was set up to work properly, but the one I put in there, I had to take my die grinder here and give myself a little place to put it. But the actual damage from the belt coming apart and blowing apart was absolutely catastrophic. I think I caught it in time, but it led to an oil pressure issue. I'm not joking. I did not anticipate this. I did not anticipate the front main seal leaking, but the belt blew apart and many pieces of it got behind the crankshaft pulley inside the engine, wrapped themselves around the timing chain, went all over the place, and they got stuck in the oil pan in the pickup tube. And that's where I'm about to go with this video right now. But first, let me explain real quick. After I did my front main seal video, I needed to get this thing together for a trip. I had all kinds of faults and the thing wasn't driving worth squat. It wouldn't even shift. I blew a fuse, and I'll do that video right now. So there was a fuse that was blown because two of the electrical connectors on the recirculation valve were touching. Hopefully this is the last of the issues with this thing, my Q5. So I did a video on all kinds of different things because what happened is this belt shredded itself. I was gonna take this on a long trip and I was finishing everything up, and then I had to replace the front main seal. I just recently made a video on that because the belt unexpectedly destroyed the front engine crankshaft seal. After all of that, I test drove it and it was still acting up. I had all kinds of faults that wouldn't clear, and it turns out that I had to just park it and get my wagon ready and took the trip in that. But I don't ever suggest anyone take all the fuses out like this. I just wanted to get them out of my way and look at them. You can easily bump it or get them out of order. And if anything, you can take a picture of it first before you take them out. But basically what happened was whenever this belt came apart, it tore my wiring harness, and I had some shorted wires that were touching each other, some live wires, and turns out it blew one of my fuses in here. So you come in here, you have to take this, your washer reservoir is parked right here with these two 10mm. You take those out, roll it out, and then try to clean as much of this out as you can, because you see there's gunk back there that you can get trash into your ECU box, and you don't want to do that. This is supposed to be waterproof, so don't break anything. That's a waterproof seal. So I took this pink retainer cap off there, and I just started at the end and I was working my way back just because I wanted to see all of them. And it turns out I definitely do have a blown 15 fuse right there, nestled right in the middle. Looks like that between the 10 and the 20 is empty. It was the one right after that 20. So I'm gonna put that back in, and hopefully all my issues are resolved. So after I fixed that fuse, then I test drove it again. Everything was back to normal, except I had a do not exceed 4,000 RPM fault. And then that took me on a little bit of a wild goose chase, because I also had, and I didn't document this, but I had a fault in the system for the alternator, no signal communication, as well as the rear battery manager, the battery manager for the battery in the back of the car, no signal, no communication. So I didn't even change out the batteries, but I did code it first, and that didn't fix it. So what I did is I came up here to the alternator, and actually whenever I deleted the fault, I would still get a module fault. So I disconnected the clip, the connector, the wiring connector on the alternator, and then that deleted my fault altogether. So then I replaced the alternator, and then those faults completely gone. No more battery manager, no more alternator. I could have gone and replaced a battery manager first, but I knew better. After all of that, I still have the do not exceed 4,000 RPM. I do different things with it. I test it when it's cold. I test it when it's hot. I try it in neutral, revving it out. I see exactly when it comes on. Excuse me. Ultimately, I decide that, yeah, I think it really is something with the actual oil pressure, because I clipped the wiring harness and I replaced a section of the wiring harness, and after that, I tested the wiring harness. Everything was testing good. I replaced the sensor. All these things I can do really quickly. Now, the video, as it goes forward, this thing of dropping the oil pan is not necessarily a quick fix. And at this point, I was just so frustrated that I'm like, man, I got to figure out a workaround. I got to build a trap door for this thing or something. So that's what I'm doing right now. I built a trap door for it. And in the next video, I'll show you how, if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll show you how or if it's going to work. So let's just watch what's going on here. Naptown Tuner here. Look, I just made a decision. I'm gonna do something. I'm about to do something. I can't get too in depth with you. Maybe I'll talk about it as I do it, but I decided I'm gonna drill a hole in my oil pan, and then I'm gonna patch it with JB Weld when I'm done. I promise it'll make more sense than what it does right now whenever I'm done explaining it, but the long and short of it is I'm too lazy to actually drop the oil pan like I'm supposed to and reseal it. So I'm gonna do it the easy way that I've never done before, but now I'm doing YouTube, so now I do weird things. So I busted my belt. I've got a video of that happening live, and it just turned into thing after thing after thing. And this is hopefully the last issue. There's a couple issues I didn't even tell you about yet, some electrical issues. I'm gonna bundle this into an electrical issue. I've got a fault for one of my oil pressure sensors, and I've checked everything. So I think that there might be crud blocking my pickup tube. I think it might have been from my busted belt, some strands that got up in there and found their way inside my engine, because it busted my crank seal, and I saw that there was strands in my crank gear. So it's possible that there's crud in there. We're gonna check it. And like I said, I can't explain too much. I just made the decision that I'm gonna drill this thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and just do it. I'm gonna go through with it. And yes, I'm going to get oil all over my drill, and probably me, and this is gonna be messy and ridiculous. I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. All right, come on, what do I do? Let's just go for it, whatever. Should I take the hoodie off? I should probably take the hoodie off. There it is, folks. I drilled the oil pan, and the idea is I left the oil in there so the oil will help. Yep, there it is. Pieces of belt. Oh man, look at this. Look at that piece of belt. Oh, we got more. Oh, I knew it. I was gonna get my hoodie. Did I tell you in my last video that you should quote hole in the pan? Look at that. Look at that, pieces of belt right there. Oh my goodness. Right up where the pickup tube was. I'll just go ahead and let that finish drain, and then I'll pick out the rest of it. And then you'll just have to wait for another video, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix that. I'm not even joking. But first, let's go ahead and see if I can pick out any more pieces of debris. Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch in there. There's a whole bunch in there. I gotta get a pick to get it all out. Oh man, this hoodie is ruined. It's all going down my arm. Okay. Whatever. I don't want to cut the camera so you think I'll put stuff in there. So I never cut the film. Look at this. Pieces of belt. You think I did this? There's more. See that? What'd I tell you in that video? Should you drop the pan? I actually edited out quite a bit of, I was actually talking more in that video about what if you did all this work to get this car back on the road and then you had crud up there in the pickup tube and the engine got destroyed. And I edited that part out, and now I wish I would have saved that part. Look at all this rubber inside my engine from a broken belt. Ridiculous. I probably should have dropped the pan, but I was being I didn't think it was going to be this extravagant. All kinds of rubber. All kinds of rubber up in there. Maybe I really should drop the pan. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's all up. Oh, more and more. Just clogging that pickup tube. Wow. Well, it just keeps on falling out. I don't know, you tell me what. I was just gonna get by and JB weld this pan back together, but you tell me if I should go ahead and take it all the way off at this point. Subscribe to Neptune Tuner. And that hole I drilled goes right up into the pickup tube, and tried to get it as clean as I can, but I'm still getting a few pieces out. See that rubber shooting out? I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of rubber shooting out. A bunch of it. This rubber that's shooting out looks like this on my hands. Is it gonna show? Little chunks. It's almost good enough. We're about ready to JB weld that pan back up. I used this pan for practice with one of my more rough saws, but I figured out exactly where to get it perfect right in the middle.